This week on the StressLess Camping RV Podcast, we asked our friend Patty to come and tell us about the gadget she discovered that helps her monitor her RV when she's away so that her dog Sadie is warm or cool and comfortable all day long while she's gone.
Yeah, we really hounded her to get this interview.
She kind of hounded us, actually. We also share a warm new gadget that I am loving, and we're going to share an RV review with you.
Yeah, something that's been really improved. I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
And we're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in a travel trailer.
Looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts.
I still think it's small, but whatever.
Okay. Well, it's certainly smaller than some
not
trailers.
30 feet.
No, no, it's... Although this week's RV of the week is.
That's
anyway.
Right.
So, something in our RV reviews that we come across a lot is people say, why are there two identical RVs with different names? Mm-hmm. For example, Salem Wildwood or Rockwood Flagstaff or on and on. It's not uncommon. And so I wrote an article about just that, which you can find at StressLessCamping.com. So if you've always wondered, and is there really a difference between like a Salem and a Wildwood or a Rockwood and a Flagstaff, or there are so many examples of that. That article will explain why the heck they do that, and
how to find the differences.
Yeah, what's
understand
the deal?
The differences. Okay.
What's the deal, Shaquille O'Neal?
Oh boy.
I actually met him once. Anyway, sorry.
Well, this week I have been doing a little nesting. I have spent some time in our new trailer and just kind of, we had a lot of totes and boxes of stuff that we took out of the old trailer. So some of it's in the house and isn't going back in the trailer, but some of it I put in a box. I'd carry it out to the trailer and find it a new home. And I could do that day or night.
Yeah,
because I can turn on the lights, I can turn on the heat. I was going to say the air conditioner. I suppose I could, but it's like 30 degrees outside. So I can turn on the heat, or I can have the lights running. I've got the fridge on, so if I need a cold soda or something, I don't know. I don't drink soda, but whatever. Anyway, the fridge is running. And the great thing...
If the fridge is running, you better leave the door closed because it might run out and get hit by a bus.
I have just spent a lot of time out there, and the reason that I can do that without finding a plug on the side of the house is because of our power system, our lithium and solar system.
Yeah, and something you're going to hear Patty say in a little bit is she is all curious about solar and said, gosh, it's really confusing and I don't want to make a mistake. And that's something that has really been terrific about our relationship with ABC Upfitters. They install these systems and they just are complete. They work. They're properly installed with all the right wiring. There are so many variables to this. And if you'd just rather be done with it and have a system that just works, our friends at ABC Upfitters are the ones to call. And we were so impressed with the job they did on our trailer, on this current trailer, that I just want to stand on the roof and shout, hey, check this out.
How are you going to get on the roof?
And well, maybe I don't want to stand on the
roof. Maybe we should just sit right here and shout, hey,
that's
check
a good
this
idea.
out.
Yeah. Anyway, if you would like a reliable solar and lithium system that's tailored to the way you want to camp, from simple to sensational, 574-333-3225. Give ABC Upfitters a call. The nice thing is you'll probably talk to Ben or Scott or maybe Stacy. That's also who answers the tech support questions.
Yeah.
So if you do have a question, they're there to speak English and answer questions intelligently, which is really a good thing.
Yes.
So again, 574-333-3225, or
check out their website, which is abcupfitters.com. Today we are super excited to welcome our friend Patty Gilbride to the podcast. Patty, thank you for taking some time out of your RV time, we can tell, to talk to us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We wanted to talk to Patty because she has a solution to a problem that I think is very common among RVers: how to monitor what's going on with your pets when you're not there.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, so this isn't going to give you a visual like, are my dogs on the bed? But this is more of a safety thing. And I'm not like a tech geek by no means. So, like, I'm not, I can't give you like the complete, electronic explanation of things. But I found this gadget. It's called Necto, Necto. Necto. It's a 4G cellular multi-sensor. And my last trip, I used to travel with my husband. We would go out on our bucket list trips for 4 or 5 weeks at a time, and we generally didn't spend more than 2 or 3 hours away from the camper. My husband was dealing with cancer, so we couldn't spend 8 hours away for the day. So we'd come back so he could rest. And we left our dog in the camper. She's extremely, extremely well behaved, well trained, doesn't bark. She's just a little 50-pound fluff ball. So, so a couple hours at a time, I was just never really concerned about her safety, temperature, climate wise. But my husband passed away October 29th, a year ago, 2023. And so the trips that I've planned since then have taken a little bit of a different flavor. So this summer, I went to volunteer in Kansas at an equine rescue facility. So I was gone for like 5 or 6 hours a day in August. So the idea of having, of course I had the air conditioning on for Sadie, but essentially if the electric went out in Kansas in August at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't come back until 2 or 3, it could be devastating. It could be absolutely devastating. So, so I figured I need to find a way around this. So I did a bunch of searching, and man, this was the answer. So let me tell you first, let me just show you where I put mine. I'm going to spin you around a little bit here and show you. So there's my TV. So behind my TV, I actually I have my jetpack up here, like Velcro to the wall. And then I also have as I rip it off from the wall, my little Necto. So
just comes off the wall that easily.
I just Velcroed mine on. Even, you could use double-sided tape. I just used Velcro so that I could, take it down easily to change the batteries or whatever. So this works on 4G. So, which was kind of good. Not that I know everything about cell phones, but I know a lot of the country hasn't gotten 5G yet. So if you have a phone with 5G, you can't always get a connection. But with this little 4G, like everybody seemed to have 4G. So it doesn't connect via Bluetooth to your phone. It actually connects through the cell service. So what it will tell you is you can you download the Necto app, and of course you put batteries in the back of it because it does work. It has a battery backup. So you put in, can't remember, I don't remember how many batteries it is. It's just a couple of the little ones. There it goes. No, that's the other piece that comes off. But I can't remember if it's AA or AAA. And then plug it in with the USB, which is another reason it's behind my TV, because I have one of those little multi-USB plugins. And then turn it on, and you download the app to your phone, and it will check your temperature and humidity. I shouldn't say it'll check it. It will track your temperature and humidity constantly, all the time. So when you go on to the app, I'm going to pull it open here, and I'm going to show you. So this is what I would see when I actually open my phone. When I open the Necto app. So it tells me that it's 67.6 degrees right now, and it's 51% humidity. And the reason why it's green is because that's within my parameters. So let's just say I set the parameter of, temperature needs to be between, 60 and 80 degrees, and I want humidity to be between 40 and 60%, just to throw a random number out there. If the Necto senses that the temperature or humidity is going out of range, either way, it will actually, when you open it, it'll turn yellow. The numbers will then be yellow, which kind of means it's getting near that zone, it's getting near that end. But when it moves outside of the range, you'll get a text or an email, or however you choose to get you'll get a notification. So you can set your notifications. You can be notified when the temperature or humidity goes out of range, when it comes back in range, when your electricity goes off or your power goes off, when your power goes back on, and when your batteries are low. Because even when your power goes off, so if you go out for the day, you leave your AC on, and you get a message that says, oh, my power went down, maybe it'll go right back on. But the Necto is still working on battery backup. So maybe it's still only, 72 degrees in your camper. Maybe your camper hasn't had power for an hour, but you check and you say, oh, it's still only 75 degrees. So there's no need to rush home right away. So the peace of mind I found that I had with Sadie in the camper was just incredible.
Does the Necto have its own cell phone plan or monthly subscription?
There's no subscription. You buy the product, and it works on with your phone, works with your cell phone. You just download the app. There's no extra services. It's just the cost of the Necto, of the item.
So if you had like Starlink or your own Wi-Fi hotspot, or your camper had a Wi-Fi hotspot, that's where it would talk to the internet and then send.
It doesn't rely on Wi-Fi at all. You could be in an area that has absolutely no Wi-Fi. Now, if it doesn't have any cell service, that would be a different story. I've been fortunate. I've put on a lot of miles. My trips are generally between 4,000 and 7,000 miles from the East Coast, from North Carolina, where I live. And I guess I've gone as far out as Montana, Utah, Arizona, went up to Canada. And I've never had any problem with, other than an occasional, you fade out for an hour, but I've never landed any place that didn't have cell service. As long as you have cell service, you do not need Wi-Fi or internet to make this work.
And does the Necto work off of any of the cell providers, or do you have to tell it which one to use, or does it find whichever is the best?
It works off the existing towers. And they have servers, which there's actually a site for their, like, if let's just say your Necto wasn't working. I think I only had maybe 2 times where there's 2 lights on it. There's here, there's 2 different lights, and one of them is a power light. The top one is a power light, and the bottom one means that you're getting cell service. And I think twice I had an issue. And I reached out to customer service because it was red and it wasn't working. It was new to me. It was this on my last trip. And I ended up it's a small business, so I ended up speaking with the owner. And of course, customer service was fabulous. So he got back to me right away. And he had asked if I had changed location and turned the Necto on and off. And so sometimes if you've traveled a long distance, from, let's just say I go from North Carolina and I don't stop until I get to, Georgia or Alabama, it's still trying to work on the servers thinking I'm in North Carolina. So all you need to do is just turn it off, wait 10 seconds, turn it back on again, and then it makes a new connection with new servers. That's happened once or twice, but that's certainly not an issue to, just to restart it at every new location that you're at. But I think even as much as because I tend to bounce around a lot, I don't stay in one place for too long. I think I've only done that maybe twice. But you can look, there's a website status.getnecto.com, and you can go to that website and it will show the status of their servers, so that this way is it your problem or is it their problem? Because if they're having a
Okay.
server problem, it'll be straightened out, and then you'll be back in business.
So this is pretty great for monitoring pets or that drunk uncle, back at the RV.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
I guess, even if you didn't have pets, some people might say that I have some control issues. And I do like to know that everything's okay. When I leave my house and I'm gone for a month at a time, I have no less than 6 cameras working around my house. My thermostat in my house, I can connect via my phone to make sure it's locked in at a certain temperature and da da da. So I just like to know. I like peace of mind knowing that things are the way I left them, and they're going to be that way when I return home. So, I suppose that mindset really could extend to your RV when, if you're anything more than, let's just say, a weekend camper. A lot of us are just weekend campers. We go to a campsite, we park it on Friday, we never leave the camper or the campground, and then we leave on Sunday. But for those of us that spend a bit more time on the road, this is our home for a while. And for some of us who are full-timers, this is your home. So might be a really great idea.
We're not different from you in that there are cameras all over our house and temperature sensors and occupancy sensors and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm with you. But I think a lot of these, let's call them pet monitors, have a pretty hefty monthly fee. So the fact that they don't is a big difference.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the fact there's no monthly fee and the fact that it works off cellular and not internet is huge, because there's a lot of people that don't have internet access when they travel. I use the Jetpack by Verizon, and it's not a plug for it, but so far I've had no problems with it. So, but the majority of monitors that I've seen do rely on your internet connection. And that also kind of bothers me, because there's more often than not, my internet connection goes out before my cellular connection goes out. So, it'd be kind of, would just, it adds fuel to the fire when you can't see your gadget because your other gadget went out. So if your Wi-Fi goes out and then you can't see the results of your temperature sensor, you're like, great, now nothing's working, and now you don't know what's going on. And you have an animal, and it is a hot day and it's in, August, and you're in Arizona or Utah or, one of these really hot states. Just like a car, it takes a little longer, of course, with a camper since you've got more square footage, but, there's been some really horrible, horrible stories of pets dying through overheating in campers, and it would just be devastating.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Or even cold too. Heck, it's winter, and there are places where it gets doggone cold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, and you'd want to know if it were freezing, even more for the sake, forget about, even the pet, but for the sake of your rig. Having that, what if if you're using I usually use a little electric heater, but I certainly have my propane heater. But from what I understand, since the blower works off the electric, I assume then that if the electric went out, that my heat system for the RV wouldn't work. And obviously my little electric heater wouldn't work. So it would get cold, it would get cold. And what if you were gone for a while? I don't know. Would things start to freeze up? I don't know how long it takes.
Oh yeah, you could freeze pipes or whatnot, and then you come back and maybe the electricity's back on, and you're like, oh, it's really nice in here, and all of a sudden everything starts leaking.
Right.
One of the things that we have here at our house is a monitor very much like that, but it does need Wi-Fi. So I have an app on my phone and it tells me, and we have it in our garage where we store our water tanks because we haul our water to the property. So we need to make sure that garage doesn't freeze over when we're gone.
Yeah.
But this Necto is better in that if you don't have Wi-Fi, you still have that signal from the cell that can connect to your phone. And so it is an app, right? Because I saw one of the reviews
Correct.
on Amazon and he said it wasn't an app. So I wanted to kind of clarify
Nope.
that.
It absolutely is an app. Yeah, it absolutely is an app. And the way it shows up on your phone is what does it say? Devices Necto. Yeah, and you just, you can, so like now actually, since I unplugged it from the wall, it shows these, there's these three little icons. So there's like a little plug, symbol of a plug, and that was green before, but now it's red. So it shows me that it's not plugged in, so literally if the device got the plug, somebody knocked the US, one of the kids was plugging in another game or something and ended up knocking out your Necto, you'd be able to see on your phone, oh, son of a gun, the Necto's not plugged in. And then there's a little battery device next to it, and it has all green bars, so it shows me that my battery backup that's in there is fully loaded. And then it has the bars, the typical like tree bars that show your cell service, and it shows that I have 3 out of 4 bars. But like I say, I haven't had any issue anywhere with the bars not working.
Have you pushed the limits at all of battery usage? I read on Amazon that, it's like a 3-day long battery. And so I guess I was thinking in theory, if you boondock, you don't want to leave the power on, the Necto will still work on its own battery for those 8 hours that you're gone for the day, and then you plug it back in overnight and charge it. If it's got its own cell receiver and its own battery backup, you really could leave for a day when you're not even hooked up to things.
I would be pretty confident that these batteries would last, now I'm thinking of like my little thermometer gadget, my little Govee thermometer that I have on the refrigerator, how often I replace the batteries in that. And it's probably like every 4 months, every 5 months that I replace them. It's only a couple times a year. And I use rechargeable batteries for everything. That's what I have in here. So, granted, mine is plugged in all the time. And granted, I don't do a lot of boondocking. I do leave it when I'm on a trip. I leave it on all the time. I don't like turn it off when I come home, turn it on when I leave, because it is kind of like right behind my TV. I don't want to forget it, or I don't want to say, oh, I'm just going to be gone for a half hour, and then I decide I'm going to stay out much longer. I'd just rather have it run. I'd just rather have it on. Even when I'm driving, when I hook up, to leave one location, I get a notification on my phone, you no longer have electricity, to your Necto. And then, I'm driving down the road and eventually I may get another notification that says, you're out of range with your heat, because it's still working because it has the battery backup, and of course in the summer, it doesn't take long for your rig to be 80 degrees.
Yeah, that's for sure.
When you get back in range, you'll also get notifications. Oh, you get to your destination, you plug in, you get a notification. Oh, your Necto has power again. And then eventually another one. Oh, you're back in range again. So yeah, I can't imagine that, I would think that even if you were boondocking, those batteries would last for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, it just doesn't draw a lot of power.
Huh, that's pretty doggone cool. And again, the no subscription fee is
huge.
Maybe my favorite part.
And so it says that when you buy the unit, it comes with 2 years of connectivity or whatever, and then the price is like $30 a year or something to keep it connected after that. So that is practically nothing. I bet when it gets close to that 2 years, you're going to get a notice on your app that says, hey, you want to send us some money, please?
I have hopefully we'll have a coupon code for you. I just want to make sure that it's a good one. I'm going to get back in touch with the gentleman. I have no interest in the Necto other than I'm an avid pet lover, and if there's anything I can do to help ensure the safety of other animals and give my fellow pet lovers some peace of mind, that's the only reason I'm participating. But plus, I think it's neat when, it's a small business, and I think, small businesses need our help nowadays, to stay in business and bring us great products. So, yeah, that's the only reason I'm doing it. But I'm going to make sure I get another coupon code that's valid. I will send it to you so you guys can post with your podcast, and I believe that'll probably take you right to the seller's Amazon store with the discount.
We're 100% with you. We love supporting small businesses because we are one ourselves.
Yeah. So that tells us all about the Necto, right?
Yes.
Tell us what's your next trip? I love that you call them BLTs,
my BLTs,
the bucket list
trips. Yeah. And it's funny because, initially when Dave and I did the first one, it really was a bucket list trip. The time clock was winding down for Dave. And, of course, everything was a bucket list trip. So it was, BLT 2020, 2023. And then, but now I call them all BLTs. If it's longer than a month, it's a BLT. Yeah. So, and it's cute. I find it's funny on Facebook when I see somebody say, what's a BLT? And like 5 people will respond and say, it's a bucket list trip. I just went away for Thanksgiving for a little bit and planning some stuff for next year. My big stuff for next year is that I wrote a book about my love story with my husband, actually. And it's called Something More Than Love, When Your Husband Dies and Takes Half Your Heart with Him. So I wrote this it was a journal. Basically, I started keeping a journal 6 weeks before Dave died, and I continued writing for 4 months after. And somewhere in the middle there, I thought, I'm going to see if I can actually publish this. I want everybody to know how much I love this man. And it's turned into a whole lot more. I've realized how many grieving people there are in the world, how many grieving women there are, and there's a certain camaraderie that widows share together that you just can't imagine. The two of you being married, you just can't imagine what it's like to lose your spouse. But a widow knows. There's just that kind of simpatico feeling. So anyway, my book comes out in January. I'm donating a majority of the profits to a specific fund that researches basically sinonasal cancer, but I was trying to think of the word brain, skull base. That's the word, I'm sorry. Skull base surgery and sinonasal cancers, because they're all really connected, because your skull base is actually right here. We all think of it as at the back of our neck, but you have a skull base right there. So this whole area is considered skull base and sinonasal. And that's what Dave died from, was sinonasal cancer. So it's very rare. Only 3,000 people a year get it in this country, so there's not a lot of money put into it. So I'm going to champion on and donate as much as I can towards this fund. It's at UNC, the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, which I have nothing but praise for the doctors there and the hospital. They're like family now. They're like extended family. I mean, as a matter of fact, our 2 doctors wrote the foreword to my book. Which
cool.
is, our surgeon and our oncologist. So, my husband would be floored, I think. And I actually just recorded an audiobook. I just finished today, and the audiobook should come out about a week after. So it'll all be available on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, ebook, and then the audiobook will be on Audible exclusively. So
we met you through our Rockwood Mini Light group,
right?
And I really appreciated that you shared a lot of the adventures there with some really well-written posts.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny that it was probably a lot of the feedback that I got from the, friends on Facebook that said, oh, I love your adventures, and oh, you should write a book, and oh, blah, 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 blah. And, and I think that they were inferring like, oh, you should write like a book of adventures, that you had. And I thought, well, as much as it seems like we've had a lot of adventures, probably not enough for a book. But I really just chuckled it off when they said, you should write a book, because I thought, well, I write maybe an email here and there, but I don't write books. I'm not an author, which my publisher now keeps saying, Patty, you are an author because you're
Now
publishing
you
a
are.
book, which is really kind of cool to wrap my head around. But yeah, I've met a lot of really great people in that group. And yeah, they enjoyed following Dave and I around the country. So, and they still do, which I think is great. I really feel like I have a lot of friends out there that I've never put a face to.
It's amazing to run in. Last year, we were fortunate enough to be able to go to some of the rallies that we had only seen there.
Yeah.
And it was neat to meet some of these people.
Yeah. People that you've kind of quote unquote been friends with for 5 or 6 years, and then you finally actually get to physically come face to face with them. It's very fun.
Yeah, I heard about you're going to are you going to New Mexico?
To Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, Arizona, that's right.
We live
that's
in
right.
New Mexico, so we're going to
okay.
Arizona in January.
Got it. Yeah, and actually it was Kate that had asked me. She's like, "Are you going to go to that?" From the group, Kate Pickle. And I'm actually going to Florida in January to visit some family. So I'm, won't be around to make it. Plus, North Carolina to Arizona is a little bit of a jaunt.
It's a ways, yeah.
Now, although our buddy Bill does it.
Yeah,
well,
Bill
he goes
comes from New York.
He comes from Long Island.
Oh, okay. That's where my
That's how
husband
you
was
say
from,
that,
actually.
Long Island.
That's how Long Islanders say it. The rest of us just say Long
Right.
Island. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We also love following your kind of adventures at home because you are not afraid of a screwdriver at all.
No. Yeah, no,
You have done
not
a lot
all.
of really great projects.
Thanks. Yeah, I do everything myself that I can. The only thing I couldn't do myself was a massive slide repair. But I didn't bring it I spent probably a good 5 or 6 hours on it and just tried to troubleshoot with, people from the group actually. And ultimately I found a mobile guy, but he was 2 hours away from me. And I said, people are like, well, why don't you just bring it into the RV shop? And I'm like, well, because then I'm going to drop it off. I don't know when I'm going to get it back. And I'm not going to know anymore when I get it back about what was wrong with it. So I found this mobile guy and he was 2 hours away. And I said, so here's the deal. I will bring it to you on one condition, is that I need to be your right-hand man. I need to be under the camper with you, handing you the wrenches and you telling me exactly what you're doing, because I'm going to learn how to do this myself. And he said, yeah, I think I can do that. So he did. He complied. We got it fixed. And that was the only repair that I've paid for. But lately there was of course, the Max Air fans, are a leaking thing unless you just gob them heavy with, the Dicor. And I just, upgraded my battery and I put in a Victron Smart Shunt and a solar controller. So now I'm looking at more solar panels, which I'm a little intimidated by. So I don't like the whole electricity thing much. So not for fear of getting hurt, but my brain just can't wrap around the whole battery thing. So that's a bit of a learning curve.
I struggle enough to understand it to just use it, let alone try to
fixing it.
I
mean, between the controller and the inverter and float mode and bloat mode and absorption mode. I'm like, just work. But I'm good at plumbing. I'm really good at plumbing. I love plumbing. I love plumbing in the house. I like plumbing in I've put shut-off valves on just about everything. I've changed all the faucets and, that kind of stuff. So, I'm just your little fix-it. Dave's presents to me for the last, I don't know how many years, were tools. So, instead of marching off to the jewelry store, he was usually going to Lowe's or Harbor Freight, or I have a giant tool chest, like one of those big, massive, red ones, and which we got it in red because it was a Valentine's Day present. So I'm not the typical. I'm a little atypical, I suppose, for middle-aged women.
Something you might consider is looking into the Lippert RV Owners School, because we went to that. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was absolutely worth. And we learned so much, especially about slide rooms.
Yeah, I think especially having now some good foundation, because we got the camper in October of 21. Yeah, 21. So we've had it basically 3 years now. And, I've got some really solid foundation about a little of everything. I'm not fluent on anything, but I know a little, kind of
Sure.
jack of all trades. So I think that's a great place to be when you do go for more education, because you don't have to start at ground zero, and it kind of reinforces what you already know, and you absorb more. At least I absorb more when I have a little foundation in me already. Because, it gets harder and harder as you get older to learn.
If it's all completely new, that's more difficult than, as you said, you start from a better place. But that Lippert RV Owner School, we really enjoyed that. They make so much of the pieces that it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I may think about that. I could definitely see me doing that. Definitely.
And you get to go to Indiana and you can eat those Amish cracked donuts.
There you go.
Ah, okay. What part of Indiana? Is it northern or southern? Just
It's
curious.
in Elkhart, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay,
like
got it.
everything.
I actually make Indiana one of my stops every time I come home, because we have family in southern Indiana. So I always stop there, actually in Amish country, Jasper, Indiana. So, yeah, cool. I'm always looking for an excuse to go somewhere. I'm going to head back out to the horse rescue again this year for a couple of weeks. So I think March I'm taking my grandson camping. He's in Colorado and he wants to go camping with me. So we're flying him into North Carolina and then going to South Carolina. So and
Very
then I'm going to
cool.
send him back because I don't think I want Colorado in March. That's a little, I don't know. I think it's a little cold.
soon.
They're up in the mountains. Yeah. So, and then I'm going to continue on to Kansas and go back to the horse rescue for a couple weeks. And I don't know. I'm good for about a month. My dog wants to come home after a month. She's a homebody. She's a homebody for sure.
She's comfortable when she's out, and that's the
right.
important thing.
And if she's not, you'll know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's a good girl. And she knows this is her. Like, this is home. She'd really rather be home, like the real home. So, she was feral when I got her. So she's a little wacky. She's definitely a little crazy, but she's very calm and very sweet. And when we travel, she likes things that are familiar to her. And the camper is one of those things. So, she knows it's home away from home. So
Right.
yeah, she's a good girl. So, yeah, so I'm good for like 4 or 5 weeks at a clip there.
Great.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Patty, thank you again so much for your time and for telling us about this product that you are not affiliated with but love very much. And that is what we look for, not necessarily companies saying, why don't you promote our blah, 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 but people we actually know saying, this is a product that I think other people should know about. So thank you for telling us about it. We will get that discount link from you, and we will have that in the show notes. I never know where Tony puts the show notes.
Yeah, well, it's still...
Might be flashing all over the screen right now for all I know. And thank you again so much, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you.
I
You
hope
too.
that our paths cross physically sometime
They will.
very, very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no doubt they will. I like the West, so I'll be out there. I'll come out.
We
See
do
you guys.
too.
Great. Well, nice. Thank you
Thank
for having
you.
me on and talking about the Necto. I'll see what other cool gadgets
Oh,
I
it's
can
our
come up with.
pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Take care, Peggy. Bye, Tony.
Whoa, you've changed.
I was cold,
Ah.
and I'm not in the camper where we have the heater on.
Well, you're
We're
in the
house where we should have the heater on. It's like 23 degrees outside right now.
It is cold.
And I was a little chilly, and I just got this vest.
Yeah,
This vest.
this company Venustus reached out to us and said, "Hey, how'd you like to try our heated vest
Jacket. They
Yeah,
actually offered us
they
a
have
jacket.
too.
But honestly, it's 23 degrees outside. It's not -7, right? So I know, even though I feel like I'm going to freeze to death, I'm not going to freeze to death.
Oh, it only feels like
It only feels like it. And so I opted for the vest. You can also get this as a full-on jacket, but it's kind of a little puffy. It's not super puffy, but it's a little puffy. And I didn't want to end up like, Randy from a
No,
Christmas.
Ralphie, isn't it Ralphie? Or is it Randy?
No, Randy, the little's brother.
Oh,
That bundles all up
right.
and he can't, and then he falls on his back and he can't get up. Anyway, I like a little more motion in my arms than that. So I asked for the vest. You can probably see this red light. This means it's heating me, and my back is so beautifully warm right now. It feels great.
And it's a battery powered vest, right? So there was like a little brick thing.
I'll see if I can take it out of the pocket. There's a little power brick that is rechargeable. So I charged it up, and then I slipped it in here and plugged it in. I don't know which way the zipper goes.
Peggy's reaching into the inside pocket of her vest for the power brick, for those of you listening and not watching.
And so it has its own little pocket, and then it plugs into this power pack that bing, that is powered with USB. And I haven't left it on for very long yet, so I think maybe I'll just leave it on and see how long that battery lasts. But anyway, the battery pack slides into the zippered pocket, so it's not going to slip out or fall out or anything.
Well, I think you can also charge like a phone or something with that too, right?
Yes, so now that it's charged up, those USB ports, I guess, are in and out, which is kind of weird for me.
That's what a hamburger's all about.
So I could stick another something in the pocket and charge it up, but that would probably take away from the amount of heat I'm going to get. Their pockets are open nope, they're zippered pockets. I'm just exploring it myself. And the outside of the inside is like fleece. So the back of my hands, there's also a heat spot right there.
So you could get your hands in your pockets and heat
Get
them
my
up.
hands
That's
warm.
really cool.
Yeah, my back is warm. Because this is down and Tony is allergic, he is not going to be able to wear it. We first considered buying something that we could fight over. I mean share. But he is not going to be able to wear it because it's down. So I got the light blue. Otherwise, we would have gotten dark gray.
Yeah, they have
something.
a bunch of colors and styles.
And I got the men's because I'm not really built much like a woman. And so, certain parts, yes, but the women's is going to be tapered at the waist, and I don't like that cut.
Oh, okay.
So I got the men's vest. There are women's cuts also, jackets and vests. And I'm almost too warm. I'm going to probably have to take this off pretty soon.
I wonder if you can turn it down.
I haven't found a button that will do that, but I don't know if I push this again.
Yeah, so there's a little button right on the chest, and there's a light behind it.
Oh, now it's white light.
Interesting.
So that is different. Maybe this is low heat. I probably should read the instructions.
Oh, my word.
I might get around to that. Anyway, apparently there's a red light and a white light, so I don't know what those mean. And then if I push it again, it'll probably go off.
We'll probably write an article about this jacket, and then it'll have more details and all that stuff. So
there might have even been 2 brightnesses of red. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll write it all down. So you got the basics. If you want more details, check out the written review.
Yeah, it looks really well made.
It really is.
It doesn't seem cheap or
nope.
It's well thought through. I like, yeah. So anyway, if you're cold, this Venustus heated jacket might be the thing. I remember when we were at the Balloon Fiesta last year.
Oh yeah,
and Cindy had one and
we
really
so
liked it. Yeah.
So this week, what we have an RV of the week, right?
Yeah, we got to go, as I think we've said a million times, we got to go to Indiana and look at RVs, and it was raining a bit, but at least when we were at Rockwood and Flagstaff, it wasn't raining much.
Right.
And we looked at a fifth wheel, the Flagstaff Classic 301 RKS. And
I want to cut in and say, by the way, if you are watching this now, you are the first one to see this review because Tony has been releasing these before the podcast, and now they're going to come out on Saturday instead of Tuesday. And so that means that you are getting a first peek at this 301 RKS.
Yeah, so we'll keep the video and story private until Saturday when we officially release it. So podcast listeners and podcast watchers get the sort of early release. But anyway, what we have is a 30-foot long fifth wheel, which isn't really huge for a fifth wheel. It's a rear kitchen,
which makes the kitchen huge.
Yeah, it was enormous. And something about Flagstaff and Rockwood products, when they have a choice of buying components, they tend to buy the better components. So like it was a usable oven and a big microwave, and solid surface countertops, and just they have a cabinet shop. One of the dudes who works there has been there for 50 years since the day they opened their doors.
Yes, he has worked there the entire time that they've been awake. The entire time that they have existed. And, it shows. Their cabinets are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because today as we're recording this, on my personal Facebook page, came the picture of our very first night camping in our very first Rockwood. That was 4 Rockwoods ago.
That was
or
in
2016.
2016.
Yeah. And we've just really been pleased with them all along. The RV industry is changing, and they realize that some of these things are getting a little pricey.
Yeah.
So this fifth wheel, compared to last year's model, they took the bedroom slide out, which was a wardrobe slide. But what that did is it made the bedroom just better organized, and it made the bathroom much bigger too.
Oh.
So you get a much larger shower than last year, and you get more space around the bed than last year, which seems odd. But the other thing is, this RV, which is really unusual for a fifth wheel, is almost completely usable with the slide in.
Yes.
It blocks the couch.
A couple of the kitchen drawers.
But you can get to the fridge, you can get to the stove, you can get to the sink, all of that with the slide in. It's pretty impressive. But I saved the best for last to me. The way Rockwood and Flagstaff build things is they laminate their own walls using man-made substrate. You may have heard the term Asdel, but Asdel now no longer has the corner on the market. There's other companies that are making the same product.
It's a brand name of the same product.
Right. It's like Kleenex, but other companies make tissues now.
Yeah.
Anyway, they use double Asdel, for lack of a better description, in the wall lamination. They do their own lamination, but even better, what they discovered is they had been using torsion axles in fifth wheels, and fifth wheels are heavy to start with, and then you want to be able to add more cargo. So there's a big difference between empty and full on a fifth wheel.
Oh, right.
And to set the right spring rate for the torsion axle, it was a rougher ride than they wanted. So they're the first company to use a new suspension from Kurt called a slipper roller suspension. And if you look at our video, I actually talk with Patrick from Lippert about how this works. But what they discovered is it's just a better suspension for a wider variety of conditions. Another thing they did is they put in anti-lock brakes for 2025. So
which we got to ride in a fifth wheel.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our video of that, oh my, it's
Oh no, I'm sorry.
remarkable.
We did not test the anti-lock brakes while we were in the fifth wheel. My apologies. We tested the suspension.
Yeah.
Or we felt the suspension. They tested the brakes while we sat in the truck.
Yeah, in the cab of the
truck. And the wow, it was like instantaneously terrifying, and then like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, it's true. They soaped up the track. We have a video about that, and we'll put a link in that. But out of 5 stars, we gave it 4.5, and the
That's
two
a
places.
lot of stars.
Yeah, it's an outstanding fifth wheel. I really liked it. The things I didn't like was the location of the gate valves for the kitchen tank.
Right, because it's a rear kitchen, and so it's got its own gray tank, and the dump for that is kind of like ours, kind of under the slide.
Yeah, that's
which
where
isn't
ours
very
is, too.
convenient. But I guess if you hook it up before you put the slide out and then leave it hooked up until you leave.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then we also don't like that model of 12-volt fridge. We had it, and the thing we don't like about it is the latch, the travel latch.
Mm-hmm.
It works fine. The fridge itself is fine, but the travel latch. So that was it. I mean, check out our video of that fifth wheel. We really thought a lot about it. You know, we really liked it. A lot of surprise storage on the outside too. So there you go.
Last week's question of the week, Tony said, was inspired by an industry reaching out to him and asking, do you use your outdoor television? And thank you all for being respectful.
That's one of the things about our Facebook group. So we ask these questions in our fun and friendly StressLess Campers Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are so awesome in how polite and adult-like we all are. Not like adult-like in la la, but you know, y'all behave yourselves.
Yes, and thank you for that. I'm not going to read you the answers because they were either yes or no, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe watch a sporting event together, maybe watch a movie together. Nobody said, I don't care what anybody else wants to hear. I watch my news, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was what I didn't want to see, and I didn't see it, so thank you. So this week's question of the week, because it's December, I'm going to start asking.
Oh, boy.
What are you asking Santa to bring you? Are you, like, you know, wanting a new RV, a new, you know, set of chocks for your RV, a new heated vest to keep warm in the winter? Whatever it is, I just always love to see people's wish list. And a lot of times I'm like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, I want that too. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, now I have to have that. I'd never heard of it before, but I want it.
Well, maybe this pet monitor.
Maybe the pet monitor. Absolutely.
Or, I don't know if you know, but we do have a store on our website at StressLessCamping.com.
That's right.
And it has official logo merchandise.
Yes.
But something new popped up there this week.
That's right. So you should go check out what's in our store. And speaking of logo merchandise, I don't know anybody besides Wendy who's ever bought them, but we actually have socks with our logo on them. So if your feet are cold, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you can answer those questions and see a link to the store at our Fun and Friendly StressLess Campers Facebook group. But also, I put a link specifically to the new product on our newsletter, which we send just once a week.
That's right.
And it has all the stories and videos and links that we think you might appreciate. And we do only send one email a week, and that's it. And that list has been growing like leaps and bounds.
Yes.
So thank you. Hopefully we are able to provide value to you. And it is free. And unlike that place we went to, it is spam free too. The place we went to was the
Spam Museum.
So
they have lots of spam.
yeah, that's where we learned about maple spam. But you won't get any spam on our newsletter.
That's right. You'll
Although
just
you might
get
hear about
news.
it.
Yeah. And you'll find the show notes for this episode number 285 on the podcast page at our StressLessCamping.com.
Yep, and don't forget our discounts and deals for the best deals on the things you might want Santa to bring you. And of course, if you know of a great deal that we don't have, let us know. I would just put links to some of the bikes we reviewed, and there's links to that vest and stuff like that. So that's all there.
So our deals page is getting bigger too.
Oh my.
Of course, we're in all the social places. You can find us at StressLessCamping.com, and when you've done shopping and reading about all the new things, jump off to all the social places and check out things like our StressLess Campers Facebook group.
Yep. And of course, a review will help others find this podcast. And the more people who find us, the better the guests and topics. And by the way, if you don't know, if you have an Android phone, you can now get Apple Podcasts on it and leave reviews. So if you have an Android and you want to use Apple Podcasts, it's there apparently.
So you can use Apple Podcasts or whatever your favorite podcast app to subscribe to the podcast, the StressLess Camping Podcast, so that you don't miss a future episode.
Yep.
We are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Oh man, did you hear something you liked? You know, you can share from our website or any of our social posts. And if you need to know kind of how to do that, we even have an article about that.
Yeah.
So, well, with that, 285 episodes, ooh la la, it is just such a pleasure to be here with you all. We sincerely appreciate your coming back to us week after week. We really do hope that we provide you fun and friendly and value. And most of all,
StressLess Camping.